Hey friends, it's me, the Ebony Otaku, the well-rounded nerd. You may have noticed the glasses are not on my face because reflection and glare is real and I can see without them. I just can't read little bitty things without them. I need them for the computer and driving. So yeah, let's not stare into the abyss of light behind me today. I decided to try something new. And yes, I am. I am sporting my Transformers hoodie today. Fun fact about this hoodie: when my husband and I were dating, I may have pouted that he had no hoodies that I could steal. Had this like part of the rights of being a girlfriend is to be able to rifle through your closet and abscond with pieces of clothing. Like that's part of the fun. And you have no pieces of clothing that I want to abscond with. So he ended up getting a Hufflepuff pullover, and he got this one as well, which they're really for me, but they're for me to steal. Nerdy dating tip, just fun aside. Having that fun piece of clothing that your partner can steal. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. Just make it cool. But being the Christmas season and all, and you know, Autobot red is just a glorious red, and it matches the Christmas season. I thought it'd be the right thing to wear today. Like back there on the wall, that is the nerdy hoodie collection. I might show it off one day, but I don't buy them all. You know, there's so many. There's so many, and just good God, Box Lunch and Hot Topic, just stop. There's so much. You can't buy them all. So for me to make a nerd hoodie purchase, it's kind of a big deal. Like my current favorite back there is Spider-Gwen, just because Spider-Gwen's great. I wish that I could find a Spider-Woman hoodie. I haven't seen that one. If you haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse, the second one, what are you doing with your life? And then it's great. And what I love, one of the things, just aside before we get to the Transformer, everyone just needs to chef's kiss, take a lesson from Into the Spider-Verse. It's just everything. It's everything. The animation is beautiful. Every character is unique. Everyone feels natural in their environment. It's just, oh God, they did such a good job. And I love that even though it's animated, they are growing the characters up. So if you're following like the whole Miles Morales thing, like, you know, he starts off as a kid, younger kid, well, teenager. In the first movie, he's a little bit older now. The next movie, he's going to be a little bit, like they're naturally progressing and growing these characters with the story. And that's one of the cool things about animation. You can't really do that with live action, especially if timelines are real close together, because you have to pretend they're still 22 and they're 37, you know. But the Spider-Verse and what Marvel was able to accomplish with the multiverse properties, it almost feels like Marvel should have gone with their Phase 3, like full animated. Like I know there's still a thing between Sony and Fox and Disney who owns Spider-Man. Like I don't get all that, but whatever. But that, like what they did with that, it's like, do that with the rest of them now. Like maybe a Phase 4 should have been a plan of like revival of awesome animation and voice acting, and just all different styles. But that is my nerd fantasy, but we'll see. Anyway, I digress. That was all based on my Spider-Gwen hoodie back there. But sometimes I find properties that I really want, you know, something from, but not, you know, that. So a hoodie's a good option. So anywho, y'all came here for a Transformer and I'm just rambling. So 'tis the month of my birth, which means I get to open things. I feel that is the right thing to do with my time. It's kind of interesting being a December baby, because one of the benefits, like all you Christmas babies, y'all know our woes. But I will say this time of year, a lot of really cool stuff comes out. So there are more interesting options sometimes for presents this time of year. But this guy I've held on to for a while, and I always intended to open him. I just never had a reason to. And now that I'm in the process, later today after work, I'm going to rearrange my office and whatnot. I opted to try to record before work today, only because the sun, you know, pre 8 o'clock is like not in my eyeballs because one, like literally 8:05, it's right here. It just in my face. So I thought I might give it a try today, and see if the lighting and all that works. And it seems like it's okay. So maybe I can start recording pre-work instead of post-work. We'll see. But I've been meaning to open this guy up for a while. But with the rearranging of the office, that seemed like a good excuse, because some stuff's just going to have to come out of boxes to make room. Everything can't stay in the box. I know, hurts me too. I would love if just everything all the time, everywhere could just be pretty and pristine in a box, always. But not everything is of a value that it matters if it stays in the box. Like I've got a couple of things, more than a couple, that won't just never come out of the box. They just won't. I mean, the Funko Pops aren't in the box because they're valuable. They're in the box because that's how I can stack them. And they display nice that well. They did a really good job of making that something that you want to leave in its case, because you can see all of it. You know, there's no mystery as to what's behind the film there. But I mean, I've got a few of them that sit out because they came in like one of those long, like, exclusive at Target sets, that kind of thing. You know, you find them on sale for $5-6 and you get 4 figures. So that's fun. But yeah, those are fun to stack. But not everything can live in a box. Sometimes you got to open the box. And today I'm going to do something that I know might be controversial in the space of the Cybertronian Wars. But I am going to set free one of our Quintesson overlords. So you've heard me talk a lot about the Earthrise War for Cybertron series. To be honest, this series revived my love of Transformers, except that season where they went full Beast Wars. It's just not my jam. But what I really appreciate is the Earthrise series, the War for Cybertron series. They kind of went back into a lot of the Transformer history. You know, they went back and explored a lot of what led up to when, you know, Optimus Prime, the other Autobots, some of the Decepticons landed on Earth, and why they were separated from Cybertron at their home world, and then who exactly these guys are. You can explore a lot of that in the comics. Again, I haven't seen the More Than Meets the Eye series, which I'm going to have to put that on my holiday watch list now, and dig into it. Or is that a comic? I think it's a comic. Anywho, I'll figure it out. Someone down in the comments is going to tell me, and just, you know, have it. But I'm going to have to dig into that, especially since some of my characters that I love the most are prominent in that series, apparently. But these guys are kind of an enigma, because if you only go with just the Gen 1 and Gen 2 series plus the movie, we don't get a ton of information just in the animated series, the original animated series plus the movie, of who these guys are. Like, breadcrumbs are dropped, but it's like, who exactly are the Quintessons? Why do they matter in the Transformers evolution and history? And why do they have 5 faces? You know, well, let's open this guy and talk about it. So I don't know about y'all, when I first saw the movie, and these guys showed up, I mean, I was little, because I was little, like, I think I was a baby when the original movie came out, and then when I was older and got to watch it, you know, like, when you understood stuff post, you know, Goo Goo Gaga days, these were scary. Guilty, innocent, guilty, innocent. Like, it was a whole thing. I was like, what are they? And then, you know, you get dropped into the pit of Sharkacons and just, that's a little scary when you just a little 5-6-year-old. But you know what? Still was obsessed with the Transformers. Didn't care. The Quintessons are super interesting. So what are they? They are not the creators of the Transformers. So when I was younger, I thought they were their creators, because if you watch the original Gen 1, Gen 2 series plus movie, that's kind of how they present themselves, is as the creators of the entire Transformers race. Like Autobots, Decepticons, everyone who falls in the middle, basically the whole sentient robot species that's out there. And they are not. They are actually created by the same source as the Transformers themselves. What happened was, over the years, the Quintessons basically developed a bit of an ego and decided they were better than the Transformers, and sought to erase history, rewrite it. Can't imagine that happening. Decided to rewrite history, that they were always superior and that they created them. And there were some amongst the Transformers who believed that, because they weren't either old enough, had the memory, had the historical knowledge to know that that just simply wasn't true. So the evolution of Cybertron as a world and the species on it was rather interesting. Without going too deep into the lore, the way that the society was set up on Cybertron, initially it was very much a, well, we'll call them pre-industrial, which is weird to say considering, you know, that's a mechanical species, but pre-industrial nonetheless. Their version of pre-industrial. The world wasn't doing as good as it could have, and thus a caste system was established on Cybertron by the original Primes. The Primes being the raised up leaders of Transformers. You know, there's like, I'm the one. You know, our most notable Primes that we know about, Optimus, obviously, used to be Orion Pax, gets changed, now I'm Optimus. Rodimus, formerly Hot Rod, gets changed. You know, love how they all get a name change. We also meet a couple of other Primes throughout, like the Michael Bay movies. We meet a few more Primes, histories in the comics and other places, but basically the Primes are the leaders. And then there were a couple of Primes over time who decided, we can evolve our society to make it function in a way that benefits those that we choose. And that's where the Earthrise series renewed my interest, because it delved a little bit deeper into how those changes affected the Transformer society as a whole, and how it ended up that the Autobots and Decepticons were basically at eternal odds with one another. It's interesting because the Primes had an interesting process of choosing who would be Prime, matrix of leadership, who gets that passed on to them and all of that. But the Primes were always like uniquely chosen. Like it was like, bam, you're the leader. The matrix has chosen you. And then along came one Prime who was basically Prime by right of arms, and not so much Prime by right of the matrix choosing you. Or right of, you know, you should be Prime because you are the obvious choice to be Prime, and, you know, we swear our allegiance to you. And that was Sentinel Prime. Sentinel Prime is the one who established the caste system on Cybertron, and there was resistance to that caste system. So Alpha Trion, Optimus Prime's mentor, who himself, I believe Alpha Trion was actually a Prime as well at one point. I was looking to see if this had that little thing you can pull out, and there's like a set piece. And, oh my god, there is. I have a new favorite hobby, and it's opening these War for Cybertron boxes. But the Sentinel Prime recognized that in, you know, the different myriad societies across the universe that they were in contact with, that there's no nice way to say it, that having some type of accepted system of oppression would enable some of them to live great and some not so great, but him most of all great. It is what it is. And where the divide amongst the Transformers happened were those who were elevated into basically the ruling class and those who were pushed down into the serving class. Like, that's how caste systems work. Like, there you are created, born into a certain level of your society, and that's where you have to operate for your entire existence. You can tell it's getting toward 8 o'clock because it's just, that sun is just creeping across the sky. In like 20 minutes, it's going to be bam in my face. And for those who were at the top of that society, they were fine. For those at the bottom, they were not fine. And there was eventually rebellion and revolt. And Alpha Trion, when Sentinel Prime was the ruling prime, and it's questionable whether or not Sentinels should have even been a prime. Anywho, that's a whole other discussion for another day. But Alpha Trion, in his efforts to try to make this caste system not happen, because he could see that it was going to destroy their society and that it just flat out wasn't fair, he was like, hey, Sentinel, let's not do this. We're gonna floop the pig if we do this. And Sentinel's like, no, I like my life, and just go away. And Alpha Trion did that. Alpha Trion, kind of a pacifist, so he just kind of held himself up in his, fortress of solitude on Cybertron and, mentored Optimus from afar as he came up. But those that we call the Decepticons were actually in the servant class on Cybertron. And they eventually rose up to overtake the ruling class. And that were, for lack of better phrasing, the Autobots. But it's kind of sketch, because it's always like, well, how do these things happen where people are okay with certain types of societies existing? How can you be at the top and see all this injustice and not fight for it? Well, it's hard to fight for stuff that you're not involved in and don't see. So in defense of the Autobots, although Team Decepticon now, not gonna lie, in defense of the Autobots, the vast majority of them, including Optimus, did not realize what other parts of their society were going through because they just weren't in it. If you live in the penthouse, you probably have no idea what's taking place in the sewer. Some people don't even know a sewer exists. So it's hard to have passion and compassion for things that you simply don't know are happening. And that's kind of where a lot of the Autobots were. So they're given a history of, this is Cybertron, this is who we are, this is who the Transformers are, noble, proud, blah, 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 fight for it. And then you've got the Decepticons, Megatron and his crew. Megatron was a great gladiatorial fighter on Cybertron, so he's basically conscripted to provide paid entertainment to the ruling class and fight in an arena, often to the death, for people's entertainment. And he starts a rebellion. From the ruling class point of view, they're about to destroy our whole world. From the servitude point of view, we're about to get back what you took from us. And the unfortunate realization is they were all just pawns in a greater game. They were pitted against each other and put into categories for the purpose of keeping them divided, because the scariest thing to those who would want to take over all of them is a united Cybertron. Y'all didn't know Transformers was that deep, did you? Well, it is. Thus enters these guys, the Quintessons. The Quintessons were never good. They just weren't. They were created and then basically, took out their creator. And they were like, then they turned their sights on Cybertron. And for a time, they actually did rule Cybertron, and for quite a long time, but they basically did it as the puppet masters of the sitting Prime, at one point that being Sentinel Prime, which is exactly what Alpha Trion was trying to avoid by trying to guide Sentinel Prime into not developing a system of separation, because there's a bigger enemy out there, and if we're not united, that bigger enemy is going to have a way in, but you're not going to listen to me? Peace out. I'm gone. So that's what happened. But when Megatron and the Decepticons that he recruited to fight against the oppressors rose up, and the Quintessons were puppet mastering Sentinel Prime and, the ruling class of Cybertron, his own bodyguards, Sentinel Prime's bodyguards, turned against him. So that was like Starscream and all the other aerial bots that we know of. They turned against the one they were guarding. They joined with Megatron and basically drove them out. And that's kind of how Sentinel Prime, at least in the Michael Bay timeline, although they don't really address it, ends up on Earth at some point. Because he gets kicked out of his own planet, and they also drive the Quintessons away. Enough, his time has passed to where a lot of the Transformers believe the Quintessons are their creators. And the Quintessons, honestly, even though they know the truth, they've been living this lie long enough that they believe it as well, and they believe that they basically have a birthright, a creation right, to rule Cybertron and other worlds. So they're booted off of Cybertron, but all they do is go off to their own planet and start regrouping on how they could retake over. And they basically become obsessed with getting back to where they can take over the transforming race of sentient robots. That's their big one, and they gonna get them back. And we encounter them in the War for Cybertron series. We do encounter them in the Gen 1 series. I'm gonna assume that they show up somewhere in More Than Meets the Eye. But there's a lot of good stuff in the Transformers wiki about it. It's kind of hard to keep the timeline straight because there are so many primes and when they showed up, and then when did this race begin, and just it's a lot. But we're nerds and we enjoy it. I still hadn't opened this figure. So off the bat, these are, there's two more faces that aren't on there. These are all of the faces, I believe. Even though it's the Earthrise series, if you've watched that series, there's actually a Quintesson that has a female face and a female voice. And I don't see that one in here. So this is heavier. It's heavy for its size. It's got some weight to it, which I appreciate, which means hopefully it doesn't fall over when I set it up. But yeah, I don't see, oops. I don't see that particular face on here, which is fine. So they stuck a couple of the faces on the side here because, get it flush in the box. So that's where these other two faces are going to end up going. But the reason they're called the Quintessons is, well, that the 5 faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one of the interesting things about them is when you get presented to the Quintesson court, they're going to judge you guilty or innocent. And they both mean death. It's just a matter of a slow death or a fast death. You're going to the Sharkicons either way. Because they think that everyone, basically, is guilty. If you don't serve them, you're guilty. If you don't do what they want, you're guilty. And if you're not guilty, you're gonna be guilty. That's just how they operate. If there is a universal baddie in the Transformers, I would turn that attention toward the Quintessons, turn that anger toward them, because they are just they are the ego boost society. They are so egocentric, so egomaniacal, to think that they have the right to rule where they are themselves a creation. That's what makes them so interesting, is they have opted for rewriting history to put themselves in a more favorable position. It is 7:35 in the morning. I told y'all, once it hits 8, that sun is going to be just bam, directly on me. But you know what? We're going to roll with it, whatever. I got to get it done before my working hours. Otherwise, I'm a bad employee. But these are really the universal bad guy. Like, one thing I think the Gen 1 series did fail at was really establishing the why behind the fight between the Decepticons and the Autobots. Yeah, I just criticized my favorite thing. I know. It hurts too. It hurt me. But they never really established, like, this is why these two halves of the same species hate each other. And that's an interesting discussion to have, but we also, again, have to remember the art is the product of the time in which it's produced. The 80s, the 90s, well, mid 70s, 90s, early 2000s, like things were good. Like everything was just okay at that time. So there wasn't really space in people's heads with popular media for heavy political messaging. There was a lot of social messaging back then. Like I cannot tell you how many after school specials were about don't do dope. This is your brain on drugs. Like they all were. Because that was the big issues that were happening at the time. But other societal issues were just kind of cool. If you weren't alive during that time, I'm sorry. The 80s and 90s were glorious. I don't know if we're ever going to get that back as a society, because it was great. So there wasn't really a need for that kind of messaging, but now a lot of stuff has resurfaced and become issues again that people want to talk about, and I think that's why they went there in the War for Cybertron series, to establish this is why the Decepticons are the way they are, this is why the Autobots are the way they are, and both of them have ultimately been deceived. They are the same species. They should be working together for the greater good of everyone, but instead, an outside force separated them. And instead of coming back to each other and finding their commonality and finding ways to support each other, they just continued to find ways to tear themselves apart, which manifested itself in them as a species tearing them apart, but literally tearing apart their home world. And that's what they wanted, because united we stand, divided we fall. We're all the same species, and yet we look for those things that separate us instead of unite us. And what could we accomplish if we all decided that we are one? Like, that's when pop media is being accidentally, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or not, but it feels like accidental genius. Till all are one. What a beautiful message, especially for the modern generations coming up, to remember that we all are one. And we should keep fighting the good fight until everyone is one. And we're all ultimately going for the goal of leveling up humanity as a whole. It's not me versus you, it's me with you, because we are stronger together than we ever were apart. Okay, I'm done preaching. Let's open this. 20-minute intro, 30-minute intro to open a figure. Yeah, he's not that exciting of a figure, so I had to pad my runtime somehow. And being someone who's paid to talk, I can talk for years. And I gotta get this show on the road because I have lots of meetings today, and they all start in a few minutes. Okay, all right. So he seems to be a little freestanding. He, she, they. I'm not sure that these are gendered, honestly, now that I think about it. So here's the question. Here's the face that fell off. He's cool. I like him. He might be my favorite. See that he disappeared. That Transformers red is for real. I'm not even sure these count as Transformers because I don't think they turn into anything. They just, oh, the mouth does move. It moves. Guilty. No, wait, this way. Guilty. Innocent. Okay, I'm done. I'm not. Guilty. Innocent. Okay, bring him back. Yeah, so can I put his face on is the question. Because y'all know I be breaking toys. Okay, see that. Okay, look, I measure twice, cut once. And still be wrong. Okay, got it. Oh, I heard a click. Nope, that wasn't what I heard. Why won't it? I suck so bad at this. Don't you hate it when you love something and you just can't be good at it? Like, you just can't be great. Or then when you're really good at stuff you don't want to do. You know that everybody keeps asking you to do it. I love the Transformers so much, but I am just the worst at the transforming, put together aspect of it. Yeah, I'm going to do a whole me trying to put these together series. Oh, come on. How are they attached? Okay, so okay, here's what I'm working with here. You see that? You got the little clip here, then in the center, and 2 little clips down here. So I'm thinking here, here, here. Those are the connection points, right? Am I crazy? I don't think I'm crazy. This should go here. And it should go here. And no. Why do you hate me? I have no idea how to make this stay. Let's try the other face. Maybe I get that one to stay. Maybe it's just that face. It's probably not. We all know it's me. So here's the green one. Oh, a nice Slytherin face. I mean, scandal of the century. My husband's a Hufflepuff and I'm a Slytherin. Yeah, I know, scandalous relationship. Does their mouth move? I don't think their mouth moves. Oh, it's not moving. Sad face. Let's see if I can make this one attach. I bet I can't. There's like a little nick here. That's probably where they cut the plastic at the factory. I can see where it's supposed to attach. And it just will not. It won't stay. Maybe I have to... See, look, there's even a little arrow there. You see that? That's pointing this up. It's telling me where to put... Oh, maybe I have to push it up. Hold up. Let's see if she's genius. She's not. I'm going to break it, and I'll be sad. Let's try the other side. See if it'll go in here. No. Okay, I can't make it attach. Someone drop down in the comments and tell me how to put this together, but you know what I have. You know it exists. That will tell me how to put it together. The instructions. I'll show you how. Let's see. Step 1. Here, step 2. Oh. Reading directions. Nope. Okay, I'm not crazy. So, it's just hard to fit. So here's what the instructions say to do. Where do we start? This is 1. Okay, so you pop open his head, you pull out that top piece, the little thing flips out, you click them on there, and you can slide the faces down. So, where'd I drop? Where'd he go? Drop the face. Okay, so I pulled the top piece out. these little flippy things are what these are clipped to. You flip it out, take the face, and you're supposed to be able to, there's 2 connection points. There's one here and one here. And this one is a clip, and then this one sits on the other little thing sticking out here. And I'm supposed to be able to click it in right here and then flip him down. But it just simply will not attach. I feel like I can't do it without forcing it. Like maybe you are supposed to force it. And I'm always worried about breaking them. Like I saw a comment on my last Transformers video, like, oh, it's so cheaply made. Them were $8 toys I got in a grocery store. Okay, they were cheaply made. This guy, he wasn't expensive. I mean, it's not like this is a collector's item or anything, which is why I'm fine taking him out of the box. But I'm quite strong. All that martial arts and stuff I've done for so many years, and I'm afraid to break them. Like I'm going to exert too much force and end up cracking it. And even though it's not an expensive figure, it's not valuable, I still don't want to break it. You know, I want it to set up and be displayed and look cool, and I don't want it broken. And I simply cannot get this to attach. Is there a trick? Because that's what's supposed to happen is insert and see, they match perfectly, and I cannot get them to connect with each other. And I am worried that I'm going to break it. So I'm going to stop. I'm never going to get one completely together because I'm so scared of breaking them. If you know a trick for getting this to attach, because I actually looked at the instructions. I'm very proud of myself for that. But they didn't help me. So we're going to put this back for now. And I guess he has to live in his little plastic sarcophagus here. He also has the Quintesson throne that came with him. It's not exciting, you know, but it's a good stand. Yeah, so he'll go on his little Quinta throne, and he'll judge the rest of my Transformers as guilty, innocent, or not. And he gets a nice little desk falling apart. He gets a little stand. I think what I'm going to end up doing, since I'm rearranging my display space back there, as I open these, putting them all together in a line, I want to see what they make. They probably don't make anything. In my head, they do. So I'm just going to live that dream until it's crashed. Don't ruin my dreams in the comments. But we'll see. But I like him. It's a controversial, figure in the Transformers world. And isn't that how it goes? The entities we know the least about typically have the most control. But no, he's cool looking. For a mass produced, not exceptionally collectible toy, great. Now I say that today, but we all know everything old is new again eventually. Like I've got a Skylynx back there, an original one from, the late 80s. And he's out of the box. There's no box to him. I'm super happy to have him. It's the one that has the NASA logos emblazoned upon him. Super fun figure, but because he has survived for 30-something years, he's worth something. So, a not valuable figure today by rights of nostalgia in 20 or 30 years could make it valuable eventually. But, when you're collecting, everyone has a different purpose behind their collection. Some people are collecting for the purpose of, value going up and then reselling. But if you're like me and you collect because you like stuff, don't focus so much on the value. You do have to, for insurance purposes, if your place burns down, get insurance, please. Because some stuff can only be replaced with money. But, never be afraid to open the thing, because the value might go down. If you don't ever intend to resell it, then the value is kind of moot. And honestly, in collector land, things are as valuable as what the market will bear, what people at a given period in time are willing to pay for something. So this is worthless right now. It is. It was worth what I paid at the Wally World for it. But in 30 years, if it's a collector's item and I want to make space for more collectibles, this might be something worth, auctioning off. I probably won't, because I never do. But, enjoy your figures in the way that makes you be able to, have the experience of why we collect. He is so interesting. I mean, the tentacles are great. The tentacles act, oh, they articulate. Oh, that's good. Oh, the tentacles are posable. That's kind of awesome. Kind of love it. Oh, he's scarier now. Guilty. Innocent. Okay, yeah, that's kind of fun. I was wondering how that was going to work. I was like, how am I going to get him to stay on the thing if his tentacles are all in the way? But nope, he fits perfect. Oh, it balances. Okay, yeah. I'm going to have to figure out how to attach these faces. I'm just going to have to do a marathon of trying to put these together. Maybe I shouldn't open anymore until I determine that I'm going to read instructions so that I don't suck at putting them together. Because right now, she on the struggle bus. That was fun. And since it's birthday and Christmas for me, and I know what's on my list, I can't wait to see what I get to open next. Yeah, so that was fun. Hope you enjoyed it. What is your favorite of the Transformers series? I know I have pooped on Beast Wars. It's just not my jam. If it's your jam, good for you. And I saw a few comments. I hate Hot Rod because he's the reason that Optimus Prime died. Well, I mean, yeah, I can't fight that. He is. But, story's going to advance. This is how this works. But yeah, what's your favorite of the Transformers series? And what character interests you the most? Because again, I told y'all, I got enough content of opening Transformers boxes back there for the next 7 years. So who would you like to see maybe pop up on the screen next to open? I think I have every iteration of Megatron that exists. I have a beautiful Bumblebee that I've yet to open. I've got a glorious Optimus Prime that has not been opened. So yeah, there's a lot going on back there. And I've still got my Lego Prime and another Prime figure that I need to put together. So there's lots of options back there. But it is a few minutes to 8 a.m. and it's time for me to be a good worker bee and go to my regular schedule. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.